This segment of Delmarva Life is brought to you by Ocean City Department of Tourism.
Ocean City has a great deal of history that goes back decades, and even though time has moved on, much of that history is still alive. As a matter of fact, you'll find a great deal of it inside this building you see behind me, which coincidentally has some history of its own.
At the start of the Ocean City Boardwalk, you will find this white building. It's the Lifesaving Station Museum.
This building captures Ocean City history. It was built for the Lifesaving Service in 1891. It replaced an 1878 building that was originally put on Caroline Street.
Diane Knuckles is the assistant curator at the museum and shared with us the history of how this building got where it is today. But before we get to that, we need to go back to 1848. That's when the U.S. Treasury Department started the Lifesaving Service up and down the East Coast.
Here in Ocean City, it was established in 1878 because of the number of shipwrecks in the area. There were stations about every 10 miles up and down the coast, and that made it possible for the crew members who lived here to walk the beach, meet each other halfway. So they walked about 5 miles, exchange a token. As they're walking the beach, they're looking for shipwrecks. So if they saw a shipwreck, they had to get back to their station and get the rescue team out there. It was pretty laborious and intense. It was a very dangerous line of work.
A crew of 6 surfmen and a keeper worked at the Lifesaving Station in Ocean City. It was a seasonal job, November through April, when the weather was often stormy, causing ships to sink or run aground. That's when these saviors of the sea would run to the rescue. One of the ways they helped, using this boat and row out to those stranded in the water.
If they didn't use the boat, they were using other means to rescue people. We had the breeches buoy, which was a one-person rescue, which was very intense because you had to take the apparatus cart down to the scene of the wreck, which is another very heavy piece of equipment, across the beach, across the sand. In the meantime, they were saving thousands of lives here on Delmarva.
The breeches buoy allowed for surfmen to make rescues from land using a pulley system similar to a clothesline. They also had something called a life car.
Best thing that can be said about that is it was better than drowning, because what would happen is they would put people in the car. It would be pulled through a system of pulleys. They were locked in the car. There was limited amount of air. It wasn't the preferred method of rescue. The surf boat or the breeches buoy were definitely preferred methods.
Diane says the surfmen at the Ocean City Lifesaving Station ran to the rescue of about 10 shipwrecks. Eventually, though, things changed. The Lifesaving Service became the U.S. Coast Guard in 1915. Years later, this building was sold to Ocean City and was scheduled for demolition, but that was quickly halted.
There was a group of really concerned and interested citizens who did not want this building destroyed. So they got together and formed the Ocean City Museum Society. So they were able to move it down the beach. It was quite an extensive move. It weighed about 150 tons. They cut a hole in the Ocean City Pier, moved it down the beach to this site. So then it was dedicated as a museum.
The inside of the museum pays tribute to the Lifesaving Service and the men who risked their lives, but it also showcases much more than that.
We've collected history over the years. We've got photographs, we've got artifacts, we've got lots of different things here that we're proud of our history here in Ocean City.
Inside, you'll find exhibits that cover everything from boardwalk history to an aquarium room that showcases local sea life.
We try to get a little bit of something for everybody here.
So one of the exhibits you have here is called Sands of the World. I love stuff like this. Tell us about it.
Well, it started initially as one of our interns writing to cities and gathering sand, and then it became so popular people started bringing us sand from all over the world.
So you literally have sand from all over the world?
Yes, we do. We have it from Antarctica, Africa, Europe, South America, and even some local beaches here in the local area and the United States.
So we're upstairs now in the surfing exhibit, obviously very popular here in Ocean City, surfing, and there's one item in particular that gets a lot of attention. Tell us about it.
Yes, it's the board that George Burke Cropper built in the 1920s. He considered himself the first surfer here in Ocean City. Weighed about 165 pounds. We don't think he did a lot of surfing. Very different from the boards of today.
Walking through the museum, it's easy to get a sense of how far Ocean City has come over the course of its history. Humble beginnings have made way to a destination people flock to every year.
It started out as a quaint fishing village, and look at us now, we're the white marlin capital of the world.
Because of the history that it holds, this museum is often referred to as Ocean City's showplace and is open to visitors year-round. Well, coming up on Delmarva Life, the Ocean City Sunfest Edition 2013. You see them on the horizon as you enter Ocean City. For more than a quarter century, these kites have dotted the sky with color, and this weekend you'll have an opportunity to add some color too. We'll learn about the OC Kite Fest, plus Lisa gets a lesson in Kite Flying 101. And from the sights to the smells, when you come to Ocean City, you'll no doubt get a whiff of those famous Thrasher's fries. We'll learn more about the history of the Ocean City staple. But first, earlier in the show, we mentioned a few of the headliners performing at Ocean City's 2013 Sunfest. That just touched on some of the musical acts. Here's a look at some of the other musicians on the entertainment lineup. Keep in mind, all of the entertainment, with the exception of the headline acts, is free. For the complete entertainment lineup, including the times and locations of the shows, go to delmarvalight.com and click on the Show tab. Delmarva Life, the Ocean City 2013 Sunfest Edition, will be right back.